Well, hello and welcome to today. It's part of our Back to Business in 2021 series. My name is Rob Lockhart and I'm going to be your presenter for the next, 20 minutes or so. Now, people go into business for a variety of reasons, including wanting to help customers, provide employment for locals, needed a job, and even starting the world. Amongst all the reasons, there is one common reason that has to be there, and that is to make a profit. Because without profits, a business really has no future. It can't replace equipment as it wears out, it can't grow, it can't repay its debts or provide a return to shareholders. Profit is essential to any business, and maximizing profits makes running a business more worthwhile and helps ensure its continued success. Now, as I said, my name is Rob Lockhart. I started out my career many years ago as an accountant working for a mid-tier accounting firm here in my hometown of Sydney. Probably found I was a little bit too boring to be an accountant, so I got out of accountancy and went into banking. Suddenly I had the best of both worlds. I was now boring and despised by everybody out there. But throughout my career, it's always been about helping other people be more successful. Because I've always believed if I can help other people be more successful, then I will be more successful. And that's pretty much how life's turned out for me, and it is why I got involved with Westpac's Davidson Institute. Because webinars like this and the other material on the Davidson Institute website are just a great way for people to understand the story behind the numbers in their lives and their businesses so that they can make more confident financial decisions and hopefully be more successful. Now, for those who have not joined one of our webinars before, I do have a few little house rules. With so many people joining us today, it can get really noisy in the background. So we've placed you all into what's called listen-only mode. But this is a live webinar, and I do encourage you to ask questions. But to ask your questions, what you're going to need to do is type them into the questions panel. Now, if you're on a computer, you're going to find that questions panel as part of the control panel, which is probably on the right-hand side of your screen. If you're on a mobile device, it'll be a question mark at the top or the bottom of your screen that you'll need to tap on. Type your questions in when you think of them. I'm going to answer those questions at the end of the formal part of the presentation. We're also going to be sending you an email later this week, or it might be early next week, with a link to a recording of this webinar. Oh, and by the way, you can probably see that I'm working from home, probably like a lot of you. So if you do lose audio at any point during the webinar, please stay on the line because we'll be working to get us back up and running as soon as possible. Before we go on though, I need to let you know that the information contained in this presentation is general in nature and it does not constitute advice on your personal situation. As always at Westpac's Davidson Institute, we recommend you talking to your banker, financial advisor, or accountant for detailed information relevant to your own personal circumstances. Now, today is all about maximizing profits. And to do this, we're going to delve into how your customers drive profitability, understanding the financial levers of profitability, the relationship between price, volume, and costs, and how to manage costs to maximize your profits. The main determinant of profitability in any business is your customers. They are the ones behind sales, the top line of your profit and loss, but they are also the ones behind your costs as well. So we're going to explore a bit further why this is so. Now, a question I like to ask business owners to understand their success is, what causes your customers to buy your services or goods at a value that you could put, you could put the word price on there if you like, that is going to make you a profit? Now, there are three key words here. Customers, who are they? Who is your target market? Value, what do your customers value? Or if you like, what price are they willing to pay for your goods or services? And profit, are there enough customers in your target market who are willing to pay enough to cover your costs so that you can make a profit? If you can answer this question, there's a good chance you will be maximizing your profits and your business may already be successful. But let's look at the elements a little bit further. Now, firstly, let's start with customers, the people you build and market your products and services for. What do you know about them? Ask yourself these questions. Who are your current customers? Now, of your current customers, which ones do you like dealing with? And which ones like dealing with you? Because once you have an idea of who your preferred customers are, your target market, if you like, what do you then know about them? What do they look like? And by this, I mean their demographics, things like how old are they? What is their gender? How much money do they make? Where do they live? And what might ever be relevant to your particular business. It can also be good to know a little bit about how they behave. Things like why they need your product or services and why do they buy from you? And part of this may be, how do they think? How do they decide to buy your goods or services? Now, once you know your customers, you now need to know what they value about your goods or services. Write up a list of all the things your customers value about your business. Think about why customers come to your business and not a competitor's business. Now, the list on the screen is just a guide. Every business's list will be different about what their customers value. Even your competitors' lists may be slightly different to your lists. It's all going to depend on who their target customers are and what value they are delivering. Now, most of these items will cost you money. How much they cost may be determined again by who your target customer is and what they value. For example, what level of quality and service do your target customers want? Is it a premium, good, average, or cheap? Take fast food, for example. The quality, service, and decor are not the same as a fine dining restaurant. Because of this, the prices are lower at a fast food restaurant. But the good news is, fast food costs are generally less as well, and the volume is higher, allowing them to continue making a profit. It does not matter if you are selling fast food or fine dining. What matters is understanding what your customer values and providing it at the right price. Another important piece here is consistency. How do you ensure you deliver consistently to your market to build your brand? What does your business stand for? What do you do consistently for your customers that your competitors may not be doing? Your list of what your customers value about your business is like the recipe for your business's success. You could also call these items your USP or unique selling proposition. This is what sets you apart from your competitors in terms of attracting customers to come to your business, helping you grow your sales and maximize your profit. Now that we have a bit of an idea about who our customers are and what they value, the next step in maximizing your profits is to understand the relationship between your price, volume, and costs. Now, your price, of course, is how much you sell your goods or services for. Volume is how much of it you sell. Your price multiplied by your volume is your sales. Take away your costs, and whatever is left over is your profit. By understanding how changes to any one of these elements impacts the others, helps you to make more informed decisions aimed at maximizing your profits. Think of it this way. These three elements have to be in balance to maximize profits. If my customers are premium customers, they hopefully will be paying a higher price, which is good because my costs are likely to be higher. But there may not be as many of them, so my volume may be low. But I still need to charge enough to cover my costs at my expected volume. Now, alternatively, your customers may be the price-conscious ones only willing to pay a low price. There'll probably be a higher volume at this price, but you need to keep your costs low to be profitable. This relationship is a foundation of, or is a financial tool called break-even. This can help you calculate the volume you need to sell at a particular price point to cover all of your costs, among other things. So have a look for the video on Davis Institute's website using break-even analysis, which will explain how to calculate and use break-even analysis in your business. Once you understand this relationship, You can look at what happens if price or cost change in your business. You can budget for how much profit you can make and much, much more. So here's a bit of an example of the impact of price changes on the volume of sales. This is an example of a business selling pens for $1 each. It costs them 70 cents per pen to manufacture and distribute. These are things called variable costs, meaning that they will have 30 cents left over from every pen they sell, which is called their contribution margin. Now, to pay for their $900,000 in costs to operate the business and make a targeted profit of $60,000, with these facts, the business needs to sell 3.2 million pens, or if you like, have $3.2 million in sales to make their targeted profit. But let's say they want to discount their price by 10% to get more customers. Well, how much more in sales do they need to make to continue achieving their targeted $60,000 profit? Well, it turns out they're going to need to sell 4.8 million pens, which is an increase of 50% in volume. Or to look at another way, they've got to do 50% more work. Now, if the business does not get their 50% more volume, they're actually going to make less profit. Now, I've got to admit, this result is based on their cost structure. Your cost structure will be different, and it will come up with a different result. Having said that, though, if you discount, you will still have to sell more to continue to make the same amount of profit. So be careful of discounting your price, as it may also devalue your products and services in the eyes of your customers. Now, let's say on the other hand, what if they were to put their prices up by, say, 10%? How much would they then have to sell to make that same profit of $60,000? Well, at this price, they now need to sell 2.4 million pens. That is a decrease in volume of 25%. And if they do not lose 25% of their volume, they will make more profit. Now again, your cost structure will be different. However, if you increase your price, you can afford to sell less and still make the same amount of profit. Now, this relationship between your price, volume, and costs means if your costs increase, you need to either increase your prices or your volume to continue to make the same amount of profit. And if you don't, your profit will go down. This is why you should always reconsider your price as your costs are changing over time. Having had a look at what drives customer value and how that may impact costs, and then a look at the relationship between our price, volume, and costs, we are now going to have a look at ways to manage our costs. Now, the first way to manage your costs is to consider how they contribute to your business and whether their efficiency or productivity can be improved. Ask yourself or your team, can you do more with less? Can your people complete more tasks in less time? Or can you use less material in your finished goods? Or perhaps reduce the amount of rework that needs to be done? You know, at Westpac, we're always looking at ways to reduce errors on our loan applications, because less errors means less rework, which also means a better experience for our customers, and we save money. But before you can answer these questions though, you really need to have productivity measurements in place. You know, measure your various resources, your people, your equipment, your space, your marketing, your stock, and your debtors. Measure them against time, cost, or another factor that is relevant to your business. Once you know how productive a resource is, you can then tell if any of the changes you make actually improve the productivity. Now, having the most productive or efficient way to use an asset written down as your systems and procedures will help ensure everyone knows the preferred way to do things. This can lead to tasks being undertaken quicker, reducing rework or other efficiencies being found. You can also look at maybe paying less for your stock or your services. Now, when looking to buy better, always remember that you still need to maintain the quality of the goods and services you buy in line with the value expectations of your customer, so you don't damage your brand. Now, the second way to manage your costs is to look at how much capacity you need. If you have more capacity than you need, you are paying for things that basically you are not using. For example, if you have more space than you need, you are either paying rent for that extra space, or if you own the property, you could be renting out that extra space to get some more income. If you have equipment that is sitting idle, It's taking up space, losing value, and not giving you a return on the money that you have invested. If you don't have enough work for your people, well, then you're paying them for their time, but they are not adding value to your business. You know, if your sales or activity level is seasonal or unpredictable, you may consider turning some of your resources from a fixed cost into a variable cost. You know, such as hiring contractors or maybe casual staff, or perhaps renting your equipment when you need it rather than buying it. And if you are unable to get rid of excess capacity without impacting the value you provide your customers, then you need to factor it into your pricing. To maximize your profitability, it's really important to price for the value you are providing your customers by making your product or service available. Now, the next place to reduce costs is to stop paying for things your customers do not value. Think back to your list of things your customers value about doing business with you, and then ask yourself if there are any other things you're paying for that aren't creating value for you or your customers. How much are you paying for the level of quality and service that you offer? Or how much are you paying for the look and feel of your business? Or maybe it's the convenience you provide your customers. And of course, are your goods and services priced to recover those costs from your customers? Now, I must admit, it pays to be very careful here. If you start cutting things your customers value, you may lose your reputation and your customers. You may find yourself competing head-on with a competitor in a different customer segment where the customers value things differently. But if it does turn out that they do not value you going that extra mile or adding that extra quality or service, then cut it, and you will also cut your costs at the same time. Remember though, the customer does value your business being around tomorrow. So things like insurance, repairs, maintenance, accounting, admin, licenses, and profit will still need to be paid for. But the real key to managing your costs to maximize your profit is to ensure your customers are paying for the things that they value rather than you paying for them. So if you are operating as efficiently as you can, if you are not carrying any unavoidable capacity, and if your customers value your goods and services, then the price your customer pays needs to be enough to cover all your costs and make a reasonable profit. Now, if increasing your prices changes your customers' value perception, then it may be time to revisit the value you're providing your customers. Consider whether you can cut what they don't value, or can you educate them on the value, or maybe are you prepared to accept lower profits, or perhaps this business is not right for you at this time. Now, these are all tough decisions, but you need to stay focused on the fact that you are in this business to maximize the return on the money and time that you have invested in your business. In summary, today we've covered knowing who your customers are and what they value to understand why you are spending your money. Understanding how your costs behave in relation to your sales by examining that relationship between your price, your volume, and your costs in your business. And looking for cost savings through effectiveness, minimizing excess capacity, not providing value your customers don't want, and finally, having confidence that you are pricing to capture all the value for your goods or services. I encourage you to consider what you've heard today, and if you can, apply it to your business to help you maximize your profits. Now that's the end of the formal part of the presentation. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to answer any questions that you may have put into the questions panel. Now, if you haven't put a question in yet, now is the time to start typing. As I said, if you're on a computer, you're going to find those questions panel as part of the control panel, probably on the right-hand side of your screen. If you're on a mobile device, it's probably going to be a question mark at the top of the bottom of the screen you need to tap on. I'm going to have a quick look now to see if there are any questions. So just bear with me while I get this right on my screen. Okay, so I've got a couple of questions here. What if my customers are split with some willing to pay more and some less? It's a great question, and it's going to come down to your business and what you want to achieve. If you've got customers, some are willing to pay more and some are willing to pay less, there's a couple of ways you can approach that. You can either say, are the ones paying more or the ones paying less, the ones I want to target? Are they the same types of people? Because there's a good chance they have different value perceptions. So you might say, I'm going to build all of my business, all of my products and services for the value segment that I want to go for, whether that's the more expensive ones or the lower ones. It may mean, though, if you go for the ones who are paying more, you may lose some of those lower paying ones. But hopefully, because you're going to make better profits with the higher paying ones, that will cover the loss of those. Or you might decide, I want to go for the lower ones, which hopefully means you'll get more volume. So you won't be making as much profit roughly on each sale, but with more volume, you can probably still make the same profits. So it's really about having a look at your business and really deciding who is it that I want to target with my customers. Now, of course, there is the other one where you can go for both, but you need to be able to differentiate what value each of those target segments is getting. So you might want, for the who want to pay less, make a product that is cheaper that they can have, so the ones who are paying more understand they are getting more value. Okay, another question here. I'm not sure how I should find these things out. Do I do research? Yeah, so if you're looking at who your customers are, as I said, understanding who your target market is, I always say you've already got the best research. You've got customers already. See who they are. See who are the ones you like dealing with, the ones who like dealing with you. Find out about them. So ask them questions. You can do your own research, maybe do a little questionnaire up, as long as you're not going to make it too onerous for them, or you can use a market research company to do it for you, but of course you're going to have to pay for that. So it does depend where you're going, but always be looking at where can I get the data from to tell me who are the customers coming to me and what do they want from me? What do they like about my business? What do they like about my products and services? Why do they buy it? Ask them these questions. And then with the answers to those, start adjusting your business to meet what your customers want. Another one here from David. I'm in a market where customers are very price sensitive, but I do need to put my prices up. We supply a quality product, but don't want to lose too many customers if we increase prices. David, and very interesting question. Now, I don't know your particular market or business or industry or your thing, so I can only answer this from a generic way. I can't give you advice on your particular situation. But the types of things I would be looking at, firstly, understand how your prices, that price volume cost situation. So understand where your margin is. Understand how much, if I did put my price up, if you can use that break-even analysis, it'll give you an idea of how many customers you could lose and still make the same amount of profit. So if you're looking at putting your price up, maybe just a little bit, that'll give you a bit of an idea of what impact it will have on the volume. Now, of course, it doesn't give you an idea of what your customers are going to do. But again, it will depend on your business. And what you might find is, as long as you're offering a value product, the customers love you, there's a good chance if it's only a small increase, they're going to stick with you. Sometimes if you've got a lot of product lines, try it with just some of them to start with and see what the impact is. So you can just like test the waters a little bit with it as well. But I'm a big believer that quite often in business, we're so scared we're going to lose business, we don't put our prices up. But our costs have all been going up, which means it squeezes our profit. You've always got to think about how do I, monitor my price? How do I monitor what my customers are doing? And the best thing I always think is put your prices up small amounts as often as you can get away with it. Yes, you do have to take into account your competitors in that. The other thing with price, you do have to look at your market and you have to look at your competitors. You will find that some markets, because the competition is really hard in those markets, nobody's making a profit. Everyone should put their price up. You put your price up, your customers go to the competitors. In those types of markets, that's a really hard sell. You've either got to look at how do I become the lowest cost producer of my product or service in that market, so look at your cost side, or you get out of the market, which is a very tough decision, or you try and go along. You try and find a way to make sure that your customers see the value for the extra they're going to pay with you. Now, I know that's not giving you a definitive answer, David, but hopefully that's helped you think through what are some of those considerations. Okay, I'm just having a look. I don't seem to have any more questions at this time. So what I was going to say is, if I don't have more questions, it might be because you had trouble with the technology. It may be that, hey, it'll come to you this afternoon or whatever. You can always email us at Davidson Institute to do this. But before I put the thing up on the screen, we've only got one more webinar to go in our Back to Business in 2021 series. So I really do hope you can join us tomorrow for sustainable growth. Because if you missed the others, but you feel they could be helpful for you, the recordings are going to be available up on the Davidson Institute website for a short time. Now, as I said, if you do have any other questions, the email address should be coming up, info@davidsoninstitute.education. Please send us questions. We're more than happy to come back to you. Now, in closing today, let me thank you all for joining us for our Maximising Profits webinar. I really do hope that you found this information useful and relevant, and I do encourage you to check out the other webinars and resources on the Davidson Institute website to help you build your financial confidence. Now, we also love to hear your thoughts on the webinar, so there will be a short survey coming up that we'd really appreciate you just taking a moment to complete. Thanks everybody again for your time, and I wish you every success with maximising your profits. Please enjoy the rest of your day.